And top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Problems for millions of Americans today and through the weekend. It could impact at least 20 states. On the radar, heavy rain is falling from Texas to Iowa after snow fell across the Rockies. ABC's Rhiannon Alley has more.
This morning, a major pre-holiday storm is threatening to disrupt travel plans for millions of Americans after dropping a foot of snow in New Mexico and causing treacherous driving conditions in Colorado. The head of the power grid in Texas reassuring residents that a repeat of 2021's power outage crisis will not happen this winter season.
The power grid is as ready and reliable as it has ever been for the winter season. We have more generating and dispatchable resources available to the grid than we have had in any prior winter in history. So we are ready for that.
The system is expected to help a new storm take shape in the eastern Gulf of Mexico tomorrow.
That's when things really get messy. Look at Florida again. You can't take any more rain. Orlando, Miami, all day Saturday, heavy rain, and the winds are going to start cranking up as well.
Flood watches and wind warnings have already been posted in parts of Florida, where heavy rain and wind gusts over 40 miles per hour are expected throughout the weekend. People are already preparing for flooding and possible storm surge, installing flood barriers along the beach in Fort Lauderdale. And some parking garages are lifting fees to allow residents to move their cars to higher ground. On Sunday, the storm's set to start making its way up the Atlantic coast, dropping several inches of rain in Georgia all the way up through Maine, complicating holiday travel for millions expected to travel in the lead up to Christmas. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News.
Heavy rain and strong winds are causing damage overnight. This is what it looked like in Milton, Massachusetts. Power is out for more than 100,000 people right now, and 11 states from Maryland to Maine are under flood watches right now. ABC's Rena Roy reports.
Severe storms slamming the Northeast, the system moving up the coast, bringing flash flood emergencies, reported tornadoes and strong winds. Parts of South Carolina seeing more than 16 inches of rain, turning streets into rivers and stalling cars. A reported tornado striking Myrtle Beach, this shopping center suffering severe damage. Pieces of the debris ending up in the parking lot. Windows smashed after pieces of the building came flying through this van. Winds toppling trailers and knocking down trees into houses in Horry County.
When we were running, that's when we heard the glass breaking and we came out and then the tree was there.
In Florida, scary moments for this driver. Visibility so low he couldn't see the road ahead, driving right over a seawall into the intercoastal. His van floating. First responders, though, able to rescue him. In Newark, New Jersey, drivers navigating flooded roads. In Guilford, Connecticut, this tree crashing down onto a police cruiser. And behind the storm, cooler and drier weather will arrive for the East Coast, but there will be some snow showers from western New York to Pennsylvania and down to West Virginia. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Because not only are we talking about a flood risk, but if you do get through, the amount of traffic that is going to start to pile up on these roads, because we do have some road closures, a lot of people that are battling some tough conditions, it's not going to be fun. So if you have the ability to just wait, I would recommend doing that, because we continue to have flood warning after flood warning.
That's right. And, you know, we're going to take a look at some of the cities that are being impacted, that being Boston, New York City. We talked about you as well. New York, through the next couple of hours, will continue with the rain. I don't want you to let your guard down from there. So even though we have rain taking us up until around the noon hour, beyond that, we may see some breaks of sunshine, but we will have a very gusty wind that will blow throughout the city, and that will likely slow you down as well. Looking at our wind gusts through the latter half of today, we really see that uptick in the wind gusts, and that could lead to power outages really taking an uptick as well. We have about 41,000 customers currently without power. It's still pretty early in the morning. With the wind that's going to come through pretty gusty through the afternoon and evening, we're talking wind gusts up to 30, near 40 miles per hour for New York City. We could see this number also continue to increase. So we'll watch that through the course of today. But we look at the amount of areas within the metro of New York City. It looks like the bulk of our counties really do include Queens, the borough of Queens, the borough of Brooklyn, and the borough of Manhattan as the system works its way from south to north over your region. Delaware County also getting in on that as well, back towards, say, parts of New Jersey. When we look at the system itself, it's widespread. It's really from the coast all the way up to, say, the Canadian border there with the heaviest of the rain. You'll notice that we do have some trouble spots, that being those boxes that are lit up in the green there, Britta, with those flash flood warnings that remain in place. So northern New Jersey, the lower Hudson Valley are currently areas that are either seeing flash flooding at this moment or could see it within a matter of minutes.
The people are dealing with the aftermath. Take a look at some of the damage left behind, from flooded streets in New Jersey to downed trees and smashed cars on Long Island to grounded flights in Boston.
This is not usually my backyard. It's not usually this flooded.
Incredible images there, and this is the same system that battered the South over the weekend, flooding homes and beaches in South Carolina and Florida. Meteorologist Bill Cairns is tracking the system closely, but let's start with NBC's George Solis at Philadelphia International Airport for us. George, good to see you. Of course, the timing of the system could not be worse with holiday travel already underway. So how are things looking out there, and what do people need to know if they're trying to fly or drive?
Yeah, Hayes and Clay and Kate, obviously the timing of this could not be worse, with many trying to get a head start on their holiday travel. FlightAware right now reporting about 2,500 delays and more than 500 cancellations across the nation's airports. Not surprising, a lot of those delays here along the Northeast corridor. The good news is some of that rain has moved out. We are starting to see some of those colder temperatures and some of that wind, but right now Boston seems to be the epicenter of where a lot of these delays are occurring right now. Needless to say, though, a lot of people very concerned this morning as they saw some of those images that we've been showing you of the flooded streets, those downed power lines, and some of those sparking power lines in the West Palm Beach that we saw over the weekend. So a lot of people, again, trying to plan their way around this. They were heeding the warnings, listening to some of the weather reports telling them to get here early, to make sure to just look at their airlines and look at any itinerary for any flight changes. We spoke to some people here at PHL who said they had to navigate some of the treacherous water. Take a listen.
The floods was crazy. We had to take different routes through the city to get here, but nevertheless, we're here, and we got to go check our bags before we miss our flight.
And of course, a lot of people keep a close watch on Southwest Airlines, who just got slapped by that $140 million penalty for that meltdown last year. The airline saying they are prepared. They are not taking any chances. They want to make sure they get it right. So again, a lot of people keeping a close tab, as 2.8 million are expected to begin traveling every day up and through the holiday, guys.
Yeah, okay, George. I remember driving to my destination. Instead of flying to Chicago, I had to drive last year. So let's turn to meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, thankfully, this system seems to be moving on out. When is it going to dry out, and what does the rest of the country look like this week?
Yeah, this is the biggest storm we're going to have. The West Coast will have a little storminess to deal with this week, but we'll be happy when we're done with this one. It's now located over the top of Block Island, the coast of Rhode Island. It's going to rocket northwards, New York City southwards. You are completely done. There is some snow and cold on the backside coming off the warm Great Lakes, and so if you're driving anywhere near any of the Great Lakes downwind, you will be in and out of snow showers and snow bands over the next couple days. As far as the heavy rain threat goes, it's still pouring in northern New England. In addition, with the snow melt, that's the biggest problem. And the winds are still howling from Cape Cod northwards all the way up through coastal areas of New Hampshire and also Maine. That's where the most wind damage has been done, and also the most extensive power outages. Massachusetts and Maine alone have over 500,000 people just in those two states. Flash flood warnings only continue near Conway. That's the Saco River. It's in major flood stage. We have a couple of areas just south of Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. About 11 million people are still under flood watches, but these are now being dropped quickly. A lot of the heaviest rain has already fallen. It's made its way into the rivers. Each of these dots shows you a river that's in flood stage. A lot around Philadelphia and New Jersey, a couple even in major flood stage and cresting as I speak. And also this is that Saco River, that little purple dot there, just north of North Conway in New Hampshire, also in major flood stage. The winds continue to howl. High wind warnings still from Cape Cod northwards all the way through the coast of Maine. We had a 68-mile-per-hour wind gust at Logan Airport, also a 68-mile-per-hour wind gust in Bangor, Maine, and I also saw an upper 60s out on Cape Cod. These are the current wind gusts. It's still at 56 in Portland. This storm has felt more like a tropical storm than a nor'easter. And the airports, as you imagine, especially in Boston, right now delays 134 minutes. That's by far the worst airport in the Northeast.